there is an invitation that is constantly appearing in our experience, deeper than any formulation of thought that is appearing to describe the current experience. And the invitation is this call from our being to itself and to experience such happiness that the body and mind are struck with a force that opens them ever wider in an ever more relaxed fashion. So, this invitation is already and always happening. Why? Because our being is ever present. And being that our being is already this infinite completeness of presence, it is the very substance of the mind and the body, and is the source of every movement of experience that takes place. So, to tune into this infinite completeness of presence and intuit or be open to or recognize clearly that this infinite presence is oneself is to receive the invitation and to be beckoned by our being into itself. And as our being is beckoned into itself, which is a poetic way of saying our being is aware of itself, experiencing itself clearly as it essentially is. Its nature, which is what we refer to ultimately as unconditional happiness, can make itself palpably known through the body and the mind. Why is our being the ultimate unconditional happiness? For our being is the only one that is truly infinite and thus truly complete. Only infinity or the boundlessness of presence can be complete. Anything that appears to be finite or limited is incomplete. There is more material that could be added to it to make its size greater. Whereas infinity is sizeless, dimensionless. There is no other presence that coincides with being that could give being some being. There is only being. So, being that you are this being, you cannot be anything else. You cannot be anything else. If you suppose that you are non-being or that you are separate from being, what would you be? You would be. Therefore, there would be the attribute of being intrinsic to yourself. And if we look at that attribute of being, we see that it is not an emergent property that has a temporary existence or some feature that is dependent upon circumstances or events. That attribute of being is intrinsic to oneself, to I awareness. So being is another name for what we substantially are. Just as we say, I am aware, we know that awareness is an intrinsic attribute of ourself. We cannot divorce awareness from ourself. We cannot divorce being from ourself. It is an intrinsic attribute. And if we look at that intrinsic attribute, it is the substance of ourself. Being is what we substantially are. So we are not non-being. We are not separate from being. We are being, the only being that is present. So receive this call from your being to itself, from your being to itself, and simply allow this experience of yourself to express itself through the body and the mind. And we do that, we embody this knowing and experiencing of ourself as we essentially are, as this infinite being, by just simply seeing clearly that all there is our infinite being, that the substance of everything is our unlimited being. For as we see that, there is no longer the belief in ourself being a separate, limited person, fundamentally. There may be the thought of a separate, limited personality or unique expression of life called Samuel or any other name. But such an expression is recognized to be seamlessly connected, seamlessly one with the totality of existence. And as such, there is no longer the filtering of the interpretation of separation being fundamental to reality, to being. And so being can express itself as it purely, innocently is, before any conceptualizations of separation or limitation being fundamental to being. So being, which is already this completeness of unconditional happiness, it can express itself through the body and the mind. And this energy is what heals the body and the mind of those residues of tension that could be stale, erroneous belief systems or interpretations about experience at the level of the mind, or unnecessary withholdings or patterns of tension in the body. And this energy of being knowing itself, allowing itself to filter through the body and mind, is healing in the sense that it brings this energy of wholeness, of feeling that the very substance of the body and the mind is infinite. And this healing energy may not resolve patterns of thinking and dissolve them in one lifetime. It may not dissolve tension patterns in the body, but the energy, nevertheless, is experienced through the body and as the very substance of the sensations of the body and the thoughts in the mind. So infinity is ever experienced, happiness is ever experienced, regardless of whether the mind is configured in a specific way or the body is held or displayed in a specific way. Happiness, completeness, infinity is unconditional.